A lot of people hate the city, but I would rather take the city over the wilderness any day of the week, especially after what happened to me and my friends a year ago. My one friend had just separated from her fiancé, who she had been with for about 7 years, and she wasn't doing super great with the breakup, which of course I don't blame her. Our other friend, who is the outdoorsy type, suggested that we go away for a night and just camp out in the woods. Surprisingly, our friend was into the idea. So the three of us found this cute little cottage in the middle of the woods to camp out in for a night. I was excited to have a night out with my girls that wasn't in the city and wasn't all about getting dolled up and all that jazz. Of course, once we got there, though, my one recently separated friend got bored, which I knew was going to happen. She started looking up local bars in the area and eventually found this dive bar in a nearby town. Now, this was my idea of camping. At least, that's what I joked with my friends about. It was still a nice change of pace, though. We went to this local bar, and it was nice not to have to worry about the city scene while we were at this place. It was a handful of locals at the bar, and that's pretty much it, at least as far as I could tell, anyway. My friend started up a conversation with one of the guys at the bar. It was a middle-aged man, but he was handsome in a rugged kind of way. I don't know if it was the alcohol or just the feeling of being depressed, but whatever it was, she was flirting very heavily with this man. And this went on for a while, but eventually she separated from him and told us that she was ready to head back to the cottage. On the way back to the cottage, we were giving her a hard time about her bar friend, and she just laughed it off, claiming that it wasn't that big of a deal. We get back to the cottage, and all we had was a glass of wine before we decided to go off to bed for the evening. It was clear at this point that camping was not for us. We hated being in this little cottage with no Wi-Fi and really nothing to do. I know our one friend meant well by setting this whole thing up, but it wasn't a good time. We all decided to sleep in the living room together. One of us on the couch, one of us on the love seat, and one of us in the recliner. And it didn't take long for all of us to fall asleep. A little after 3 in the morning, I was being nudged by one of my friends who looked very concerned. She told me that she had heard the doorknob kind of jiggling. I laughed at her and told her that she was being crazy, and that's when I heard it. It really was shaking, and not just a little bit. Whoever was out there was really trying to get into the cottage. We were too scared to get up, so we just cuddled up together on the couch and held the blanket up to our faces. Since the cottage was so small, you could walk from the front door around the entire building in no time at all. And to our horror, that's what this person did. We listened to each step outside the cottage. They were clearly sneaking, but we could hear each little twig snap after each step. The person made their way around to the back of the cottage, which was behind the couch that we were laying on. There was a large window at the back. The person went to the window, and we started to hear the shuffling sound on the other side of the curtain. And then it occurred to us, the person was trying to open it. I don't know what got into me, but I decided to yell, "I'm calling the police!" The noise stopped for a moment, and then a whisper could be heard from the other side of the window. It seemed to be a man's voice, and he was whispering the name of my friend, the same friend who was flirting with that one man at the bar. My mind thought about the guy right away, and I refused to believe that he followed us here, but there was no other way that he'd know we were at this house. I whipped open the curtain, and like a deer in the headlights, the man just stood there. It was in fact the man from the bar. He put his hands up in this sort of defensive position like he was the one who was in trouble, and then he just ran. He didn't get into a car, at least none that I saw. We did phone the police right away and report what could have been a potential home invasion, and I'm not sure anything ever came of it, since we left first thing in the morning, which wasn't that long after the cops left. It wasn't until the drive home that we really got ourselves worked up and scared, and that's when we started to piece together everything. We got back to the cottage before midnight, and this guy didn't try breaking in until after 3. That means that he had to follow us to know where the cottage was, wait for us to sleep, and then try to get in. The thought of this man lurking outside for all those hours makes me want to throw up. I'm so thankful that my friend woke up to the doorknob noise because if she didn't, I don't know what would have happened. We found out after the fact that the window was unlocked and it would have only been a matter of time before he would have broke in. In a sick way, this trip really did help my friend because she was so thankful to escape unharmed that she was able to pull her life into perspective and start the long road of healing after a horrible breakup.